Alright, let's recess into solid waste. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes of January 9th?
So moved.
Second? Roll call, Amy?
Vicky?
Yes.
Kathleen?
Yes.
Sabrina?
Yes.
Okay, I move to approve the January 16th, 2020 bills as presented by the county auditor.
I will second.
Roll call, Amy?
Vicky?
Yes.
Sabrina?
Yes.
Kathleen?
Yes.
I move to approve the January 16th, 2020 journal vouchers as presented by the county auditor.
I will second.
Roll call, Amy?
Vicky?
Yes.
Sabrina?
Yes.
Kathleen?
Yes.
I move to approve the January 16th, 2020 then and now certification as presented by the county auditor.
I will second.
Roll call, Amy?
Vicky?
Yes.
Sabrina?
Yes.
Kathleen?
Yes.
I move to adjourn solid waste.
I will second.
Roll call, Amy?
Vicky?
Yes.
Sabrina?
Yes.
Kathleen?
Yes. Water resources.
Morning.
Morning. Oh, we convene until the general session. It's all,
It's all me now?
Yeah.
Okay. We have 3 items and then a couple of unscheduled informational pieces as well. One is the water resource agreement between Portage County and the city of Ravenna. There's a resolution for that, but also there's 2 copies for execution for the Board of Commissioners.
I have a question on that, Jane, just to clarify. So is the EPA okay with us? I understand it's just for an emergency interconnect, but is the EPA okay with the emergency interconnect for the city of Ravenna?
Yes, they are. If,
Okay.
in the event that we have no fire flow, no potable water,
Okay.
we're going to set the primary standard water quality society, issue a water alert, and then provide water back.
Yeah, because, I remember it being an issue, and then we still continued to purchase like minimal from them even after it was declared, or we paid an additional $231,380. It says here in your thing, the total cost expended in honoring the agreement from April 17th to the 19th was $231,380. And that they expired in 2019, but it seemed like the EPA had declared that there was, the issue with the water being supplied by the city of Ravenna's could no longer be blended with our groundwater from the county
Correct.
system. So was that the total amount of the contract, the $231,380, or did, once we came to that conclusion and the EPA said that we, provided that the surface water supplied by the Ravenna City wastewater plant could no longer be blended with us? Did we?
Drinking water plant.
Okay.
Yeah. But,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, because the surface water is like from the lakes and stuff, and then
Right.
groundwater is like the wells, correct? Okay. I just wanted to
Ravenna
clarify
is a
that.
surface water supply
Yeah.
county. When they built the interconnect from the Brimfield plant to the Shaler'sville plant, and then also went taking a portion of Aurora onto Cleveland water, we no longer needed the water supply. And then in the middle of all that building of the infrastructure is when the EPA wanted to do a water model, and they told us we cannot blend surface water and drinking water any further. As an example, in Aurora, they have a northern limit, which is probably 85–90% of their customers, which are on Cleveland water, surface water, and then a small portion on the extreme south of Aurora is on groundwater from Shaler'sville. So
Okay.
it's totally 2 distinct separate systems.
Okay. And then when they do have the emergency interconnects, how long do they normally interconnect into that for like an emergency? I'm just asking.
As long as the emergency would continue.
Okay.
If there were 2 fires simultaneously and we lost both fires, we needed water, we would turn to Ravenna and to Kent to get water,
Okay.
because that's the primary place we could interconnect. We could also probably, with a little bit of construction, interconnect to Cleveland, which
So it's like short term,
Short
it's like
term.
24 to 48 hours possibly, or maybe
longer depending upon the
If-
kind of emergency. But
Okay.
as long as that emergency would be in place, we would be required to issue a boil alert. So
okay. Thank you.
all we're looking for there is is the ability to go talk to Ravenna. There is a 1970 vintage agreement that says we're gonna provide each other emergency water, and as far as I know, it's never been rescinded, so we're gonna take it out, dust it off, and have a conversation.
Okay.
So Jean, it looks like there's a budgetary change with the expiration of the agreement in 2019. Can you just kind of give an overview of, does it go from the budget impact to
About
zero?
$7,000 a month that we're no longer spending to meet the requirements of the agreement.
Okay,
So that's a good thing for us.
for sure.
The flip side is it's a bad thing for Ravenna. There's 7,000 less in their revenue stream. However, they've had 3 years, round figures, to figure out how to deal with that. 17, 18, and 19. They knew October 19th, we were gonna have to stop paying for something we're not using. We attempted initially to try and figure out ways to use the water, but there was no way to valve off what we had to give a separate system. And then the EPA told us, well, if you do that, then you're gonna buy water from Ravenna and sell it retail to your customers, then that becomes a separate public water system. So for, say, 50 homes as an example, we're gonna take this 100,000 gallons. It's gonna cost us that amount of money because we have to test it every day. We have to do all the things that's required of us. It was lengthy, but I think we've got the best resolution.
Great. I don't have any questions then beyond that. So, do you want to do the motion on that?
Motion to authorizing accepting the joint operational policy and procedure for shared facilities between the Portage County Board of Commissioners on behalf of the Portage County Water Resources Department and the City of Ravenna. Authorizing the Portage County Board of Commissioners and Director of Water Resources to carry out the requirements of the policy and declaring an emergency.
Second?
Roll call, Amy?
Vicki?
Yes.
Sabrina?
Yes.
Kathleen?
Yes. And did you want to talk about the journal?
Journal entry is this City of Streetsboro wastewater plant that the county owns and operates is in the permit renewal cycle with the NPDES permit required by the EPA. In that process, we are required to update our background in industrial waste strengths, which is what this is going to do. PNN did it last time 5 years ago, and we're going to ask them to do it again, only because they have all the background information, so it's the most cost-effective method for us.
Okay. Well, I'll make a motion to approve the journal entry then, if no one has questions. The Board of Commissioners authorizing the Portage County Department of Water Resources to move forward with an agreement with Burgess and Nickel for professional engineering services to evaluate and update the local limits and submit a technical justification report to Ohio EPA for a fee not to exceed $11,000.
And I will second.
Roll call, Amy?
Sabrina?
Yes.
Vicki?
Yes.
Kathleen?
Yes. One more for you, Jean.
Thank you. Okay, this is really informational in case you hear something, and I would like to be able to discuss this with the health department. We put together informational piece in terms of procedures for the Oakwood residents to proceed with connecting to the sewer. The health department requested to see it, which we're fine with, and then we found out that they're attaching our letter to their approval and disapproval process. So we're getting calls at Water Resources about interior plumbing issues. It really creates a real problem for us. In no small way, I think, not providing the best possible service to our customers. I mean, we have to back them up to go talk to somebody else. So my understanding when they took ours is they were going to do something different with it, different in the sense that they were going to develop their own procedure, but quite apparently they short-circuited that. At any rate, absent any objection, I would reach out to the health department and ask them to assist and desist, attaching theirs to ours. It just creates problems.
Yeah.
For sure. Wow. Thanks for that heads up.
The other issue is NEFCO, the 208 plan. This is a standard public meeting, and it will be held, I think you were aware of it
Yes.
from the NEFCO meeting, January 22nd, next Wednesday at 6 p.m. You're welcome to attend. maybe 3 people, so. Or if all of you show up, 5 people, because typically, from experience, he shows up.
Yeah.
Be DEFCO, myself, and maybe.
Sounds like fun.
Oh, yeah. It's a requirement for the federal government. Public input's good.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jane.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day.
What's this now?
Shannon's on that.
The 208 plan.
Janet, did we have something on the workplace harassment training, or is that just a discussion?
It's just discussion,
Okay.
it'll be just an FYI.
I thought, my big packet, I'm like, I lost it. Okay.
I didn't have anything for that.
Just by the government.
No, yeah, in regards to the workplace harassment training, the last time we had sexual harassment training was in October of 18. My goal is to have mandatory training every 2 years, if possible, but not just talking about sexual harassment, but just all types of workplace harassment. So I'm looking for later this fall, and I'm actually working with Ohio Civil Rights Commission. They do training free, and they will do multiple sessions to accommodate the different work shifts of our employees.
Oh, wow.
So this time, I'm gonna make it mandatory, just like we did back in 18 for the
Yeah.
VOC employees. And then if there's any room, then the other departments can attend, but at the same time, I'd like to maybe every other year, open it up to the rest of the departments, like the non-VOC departments, because obviously I can't make those mandatory for them.
Yeah.
But we can make it mandatory for our employees. So I just want to give you a heads up that I'm working with the trainer, Ohio Civil Rights Commission. And I've heard positive feedback about his training. The employees seem to, they seem to like it, they seem to like the trainer. So right now I'm working on that with him. So I'll give you guys an update. And then the VOC organizational chart, there's just 2 changes to this. We actually, obviously WIC is removed, because WIC as a department is no longer on our org chart. So that's a change. And then at Randy Roberts' request, his department used to be titled Building Inspection on our org chart. He has requested and has also received confirmation from the prosecutor's office as well to change this as the Building Department / Floodplain Administration. So that's what and he said that would be the same as what they're known at the state level as that too. So that's.
Yeah, I think it's more in line with what people recognize this department as.
Yeah. So that was the only, and I don't know if you see any other changes that need to be made on the org chart, but those are 2 changes that would be made to the org chart.
Nope. I don't see anything. Looks good.
Okay. And we will bring them a JE next week, acknowledging approval of the VOC org chart.
Janet, on this resolution, I'd like one more week to continue reviewing the
Okay, yeah.
extensive changes to the policy manual. So we could just hold that and put that on next week's agenda, Amy. I promise I'll be ready.
It's a lot of material.
Yeah,
so
it is,
I understand. Yeah, absolutely.
So then if we could move to the journal entries.
And I didn't know how you want me to say anything about the journal entry, if you have some questions.
I didn't have any question. They just look like straightforward.
Yeah, and pretty much,
Ones you bring
they really
forward.
are, there's nothing that's really out of ordinary.
I think what would be good is if we moved each one and then just had a brief explanation from you, a couple sentences max, unless it's more involved.
Yeah.
But I think that would help us moving forward. So I'll just start. I'll move the Board of Commissioners accepts the retirement of William Trevelli, Deputy Dog Warden for the Portage County Dog Warden, effective February 28th, 2020, presented by David McIntyre, Chief Dog Warden, and Janet Kovic, Human Resources Director.
I'll second.
Yeah, actually Bill has been there for 16 years, and he has really just decided to retire. Yeah, so.
Seem odd not seeing him.
That's great.
He's been here a long time.
Okay, so roll call, Amy?
Kathleen?
Yes.
Sabrina?
Yes.
Vicki?
Yes.
The Board of Commissioners authorizes the 5-day internal posting of the full-time deputy dog warden, replacing William Chavelli for the Portage County dog warden with external posting if no internal appointment is made, presented by Dave McIntyre, Chief Dog Warden, and Janet Kovic, Human Resources Director.
Second?
Was there any discussion, Janet, of evaluating whether that position should be changed in any way, or is still, I know when we had the deputy director in the EMA, we had some discussion about, is this still the right structure for the staffing of the EMA? Do we wanna have any discussion like that for the dog warden, or?
And we can, I really think it's the Christmas holiday, I think
Yeah.
Dave and I couldn't really like match up our times, but I am not aware of any concerns in that department to see if this position was necessarily filled, but I mean, I could absolutely check with Dave to make sure.
Okay.
Yeah, because right now there are only two deputy dog wardens besides Bill. There's another deputy dog warden, so there's actually only two. And then there's 2 facility keepers, and then there's and there's another, the working supervisor, and the title is missing.
Chief Deputy.
There's 2?
Chief deputy, yes, thank you. I want to say chief dog warden, that's not it, it's chief deputy, yes. So there's actually only 5 employees. in
So there's a
office.
chief deputy and then a deputy? Is that?
Well, they're not deputies like you're thinking of.
Okay,
Like,
okay.
not the EMA deputy, that's just the title. These are
Okay.
union positions.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, these are union positions.
This one is too, this,
The deputy dog warden,
This
yes,
is-
they are union.
okay. I think we should just look at that and talk to Dave, but I think it's fine to move forward with the internal posting, so.
Definitely check, yes.
Same
And the
with-
5 days is the requirement of the contract.
I figured that, okay, once you said that.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Roll call, Amy?
Kathleen?
Yes.
Sabrina?
Yes.
Yes.
I move the journal entry authorizing the full-time hire of Melissa McCon as a social service worker 2, replacing the position previously held by Isaiah Jones for Portage County Job and Family Services, as presented by Kelly Jo Jeffries, JFS Director, and Janet Kopic, Human Resources Director. Anticipated start date is January 27, 2020. The Board of Commissioners agreed that this hire is contingent upon the applicant passing the required pre-employment testing.
I will second.
And they actually, just FYI, they had 16 applications for this position, and they interviewed 4. And they felt that Melissa was the most qualified. They had offered the position to someone else, but then that person declined the position. So then they went to Melissa.
Great. Roll call, Amy?
Kathleen?
Yes.
Sabrina?
Yes.
Yes.
I'll move to accept the resignation of Laura Asbury, eligibility specialist for Portage County Job and Family Services, effective January 9th, 2020, presented by Kelly Jo Jeffries, JFS Director, and Janet Kovic, Human Resources Director.
I will second.
And this person, and just because we're in open session, I won't say a whole lot, but there was a concern, and this person ended up choosing to resign.
Okay. Roll call, Amy?
Kathleen?
Yes.
Sabrina?
Yes.
Vicky?
Yes.
I'll move that the Board of Commissioners authorizes the 3-day internal posting of the full-time eligibility specialist, replacing Laura Asbury for Portage County Job and Family Services with external posting if no internal appointment is made, presented by Kelly Jo Jeffries, JFS Director, and Janet Kopic, Human Resources Director.
And again, this is a union position, and as always, they always post only for a class of eligibility specialists, so we always get the approval first, and then once there's, so far they've done it about twice a year. They'll have a class and maybe about 4 or 5 eligibility specialists, so the new hire class is at a class, and then that way you can train a class for 1% at a time. So this one will not be posted immediately. It is whenever the director tells us to post a class.
Second.
Roll call, Amy?
Kathleen?
Yes.
Sabrina?
Yes.
Vicky?
Yes.
I'll move the journal entry accepting the resignation of Danielle Tuttle, Social Service Worker 2 for Portage County Job and Family Services, effective January 10, 2020, presented by Kelly Jo Jeffries, JFS Director, and Janet Kovic, Human Resources Director.
Second.
And this one, we actually had her exit interview last Friday. And it was actually turned out really, it's good for her because she was a social worker too for children's services and enjoyed the environment so much that she has decided to go back to school for sociology. So she would like to come back to Portage County
Good.
after she gets her degree. But it's actually good for, it was really good for her.
Great.
Yeah.
Roll call, Amy?
Kathleen?
Yes.
Sabrina?
Yes.
Vicky?
Yes.
And I'll move the journal entry that authorizes the 3-day internal posting of the full-time hire social service worker 2, replacing Danielle Tuttle for Portage County Job and Family Services with external posting if no internal appointment is made, presented by Kelly Jo Jeffries, JFS Director, and Janet Kopic, Human Resources Director.
Second.
In the plan for this one, if there are no internal postings, they actually would like to choose from the interviews that they had earlier when they chose.
For the, yeah.
Yeah, they had an interview, so they would like to do that.
Nice to have a pool from.
Absolutely, yeah.
Roll call, Amy?
Kathleen?
Yes.
Sabrina?
Yes.
Vicky?
Yes.
Great.
And then I also have the memo of understanding for the water resource position that we emailed the commission going, so we just got that yesterday for the lab IPP position that was actually created or approved to create back in December. But it just took some time because of the holidays to get the MOU signed by the union, so we have that. So I'm just bringing it back today just for your signature. And then that gives us permission to post the position. And I
Okay.
believe we're gonna post it Monday, because they actually need to post for 7 days. So we're gonna post that Monday for the department, but I have this for the board to sign.
Is there a resolution over?
Oh,
I think we did one already.
I know, Jean, is there a resolution coming for this MOU?
The journal entry or something?
I could do a journal entry, because I have not been given a resolution, but I could do a journal entry for you today.
Okay. We need that though, signed today.
If possible.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
And
could
that was just
you-
giving us permission to, I mean, we probably could.
We have some miscellaneous journal entries at the end, so if you could do that and pop back in here.
Absolutely.
We can
Yeah.
get them for you guys
Yeah.
today.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And I think that's it for me.
I think so too.
I think so, yeah. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
An email from,
We can just wait up. It's only a few minutes.
Okay. There's Lisa.
Your timing is perfect.
Hi, Lisa.
Well, the
We're running a
elevator,
little
the
early.
elevator decided to go down instead of up, so.
Could have been here even earlier.
You're still early, don't worry.
Okay. So you guys are ready for me.
Come on up.
We are.
All right, well, real quick, last week you guys signed a coordination agreement with the State Historic Preservation Office, which basically outlines what is considered to be exempt from their review when it comes to CDBG, doing environmental reviews for CDBG-related projects. So as a requirement under that agreement, I am required to file a report every year with them and let them know which projects I reviewed the previous year, and what I consider to be exempt based on that agreement. So the 2 grants that I did an environmental review for was for the Wyndham Village and the Ravenna City Critical Infrastructure grants. Those projects within those 2 grants were considered to be exempt from their review.
Okay.
So that is what I put in my report, and I need you to sign off on the letter that needs to go to them.
Were there other projects that could potentially have been exempted?
I didn't have any others because the ones under the CBG allocation grant, which were 5 projects, I did that the year before last.
Okay.
So those are the only 2 grants that we had that we needed to contend with.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the journal entry then for the Board of Commissioners agrees to sign the January 9th, 2020 correspondence to the State Historic Preservation Office and the Ohio History Connection regarding activities determined to be exempt from Ohio Historic Preservation Office review as presented by Regional Planning Commission.
Second?
Roll call, Amy?
Sabrina?
Yes.
Vicky?
Yes.
Kathleen?
Yes. That's it. That's
Short
it,
and
son.
sweet, right?
Thanks,
Should've let us
Lisa.
on there.
Told you, okay.
Thanks, Amy.
Thank you.
Morning, Todd.
Good morning.
We are running early today.
Excellent. Do you want to start with the discussion item or the resolutions?
Yeah, let's start with the discussion.
Discussion. It's become apparent that the lease may be longer than we thought. And for that reason, I would like to request hiring a temporary worker.
Are
We
you
don't-
tired, Todd?
We thought we were in the home stretch and cracks were starting to show, but now if we're in the middle, we need to do something about it. We don't have an exact date, so I can't give exact figures. If we were to need a person until March, it would probably be an extra $5,000 because Denise is on paid leave. That would be on top because she is getting her pay. It's not like we can use that. And so we need the board's decision as to whether you wish to appropriate those additional funds.
I think that's a fair request.
Yes.
I do too, yeah.
And we're, right now, what we're going through is a Kelly.
Mm-hmm.
They have some options available, and we're thinking of 9 to 2. So it
Yeah.
wouldn't be a full-time, but from 9 to 2, just to relieve that kind of the busy part of the day. So, okay, we'll get moving on that then, and then if you have questions on resolutions.
Todd, the way that we are gonna do resolutions going forward is if you could say a few words about each resolution, and then if we have questions on
Mhm.
top of that, we would ask them.
Okay.
So, I'm just gonna say, why don't we get you a copy of this
That's okay.
to go through?
I'll get it online.
I did just review the bill pays. There isn't anything out of the ordinary. There was $1 million, which is higher than usual, but it's normal for the beginning of the year because everybody's had these pent-up invoices pending since December. And that basically entails 1, 2, 3, and 4, just in terms of getting normal business of the county paid.
Okay. So I'll move the resolution approving the Thursday, January 16th, 2020 bills, ACH payments as presented by the county auditor and reviewed by the Board of Commissioners, Department of Budget and Financial Management, Department of Internal Services, or other designee.
I'll second.
Roll call, Amy?
Kathleen?
Yes.
Sabrina?
Yes.
Vicky?
Yes.
I'll move the resolution agreeing to approve the Thursday, January 16th, 2020 wire transfers for health benefits as presented by the county auditor and reviewed by the Board of Commissioners, Department of Budget and Financial Management, Department of Internal Services, or other designee.
I'll second.
Roll call, Amy?
Kathleen?
Yes.
Sabrina?
Yes.
Vicky?
Yes.
I'll move the resolution agreeing to approve the Thursday, January 16, 2020 journal vouchers as presented by the county auditor and reviewed by the Board of Commissioners, Department of Budget and Financial Management, Department of Internal Services, or other designee.
I'll second.
Roll call, Amy?
Kathleen?
Yes.
Sabrina?
Yes.
Vicky?
Yes.
I'll move the resolution agreeing to approve the Thursday, January 16, 2020 then and now certification as presented by the county auditor and reviewed by the Board of Commissioners, Department of Budget and Financial Management, Department of Internal Services, or other designee.
Second?
Roll call, Amy?
Kathleen?
Yes.
Sabrina?
Yes.
Vicky?
Yes.
And on the budget amendment, there's just two items. JFS needs to budget their salaries for the, I don't know what we're calling it, the children's home.
Mhm.
Oh, out there on
the-
Brady Lake.
Yeah.
Group home.
Yeah, the group home. And so that's the Fund 14-15, budgeting those salaries.
Okay.
And then DD had a payment that did not get out last year. They had to return a certain portion to the courts for, work didn't quite get done. That did not happen last year, and so it needs to happen now, but because it's after the year, it needs budgeted in the prior year corrections, which is a different budget place than it was originally placed, so we need to move that to the,
Is that the 60,000?
and that's the 60,000.
Okay,
Yeah.
for the mental, because it's under mental
Oh,
health
I'm sorry,
recovery.
no, it is mental health and
It's mental
recovery.
health
Yeah,
recovery.
I too.
Okay, so these are for services that they did not
Correct,
complete,
returning to the
so
court.
they have to, okay. Right. So I'll make a motion to the amendment to the non-general fund 2020 annual appropriations resolution number 19-0948, adopted December 19th, 2019.
I'll second.
Give me just a minute, I'm trying to find it. It's this. It is right here. Got it. Roll call, Amy?
Sabrina?
Yes.
Vicky?
Yes.
Kathleen?
Yes.
The journal entry is just the EMA reimbursement for the grant portion of their expenditures.
Mhm.
Everything was in line with the budgets that you approved back in May and then reapproved in November regarding their spending. They're halfway through their grant year. And we're aware that it's gonna, at the end of the grant, unless a supplemental's offered, I think we're gonna be 72,000 unreimbursed, but as of right now, we're still in the grant portion being reimbursed.
And that's even reflective of not having like the deputy director at this
Well,
point?
so that will go lower since we have
Yeah.
put, I don't want to say put it off, but we've been not able to fill that position, so there is some savings there, yeah.
Okay. So I'll make a motion to approve the draft entry. The Board of Commissioners authorizes Kathleen Clyde, President of the Board, to sign the 5th quarter cash reimbursement request in the amount of $65,902.74 for the EMPG fiscal year 19 quarterly -5 grant as prepared by Homeland Security and Emergency Management Office and reviewed by the Department of Budget and Financial Management with no exceptions noted. And copies of this request will be kept on file at the Homeland Security and Emergency Management Office.
Second.
Roll call, Amy?
Sabrina?
Yes.
Vicky?
Yes.
Kathleen?
Yes.
I think that's everything for me.
That
Thank you,
is.
Todd.
Thank you,
Thank
Todd. Let's recess until Kelly Jo gets up here.
Okay.
Is she
And
coming
we
up
don't need
early?
to, we don't need to call her.
Since you're recessed, I'm gonna go and look in my car and see if I left my phone there.
Can't do without your phone.
Do you want me to call it and see if you have it?
No, I know it's not with me,
Okay.
so, because I went
Sometimes
to turn the
it
ringer
gets
off.
lost in my bag,
Yeah.
so.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Are people from the audience permitted to open a discussion with the commissioners during meetings?
We have a public comment period at 11.
That's fine.
And we're welcome to participate.
Well, I intend to make a comment. A few of them, quite honestly.
Did you
Right.
fill out a form? There's a form that you fill out so you can,
No,
yeah, Amy.
No. We can move on this week. There's still some stuff outstanding, like the Rick Patrick thing. Yeah, sure. And I'll check with Chris on that, it's fine.
Okay.
Today was 16. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
My name is Mark too. I just come to this meeting several times. I'm always interested in keeping partnerships together. And I can't stay.
You're gonna have to speak up, I can barely hear you. Hold on.
I was just wondering what your concerns were.
But, I got a number of them.
If I could.
You know, but, one is real estate taxes, environmental evaluations, it's a matter of moving on these huge properties. There's so much in taxes owed that they actually exceeded the property. And yet, you know, they're falling in disarray and not moving on. There is a government agency for a school system in that county, they cannot use part of that money.
I'm just saying, that's when I come to this week. What's going on? Where are you from? Where are you from? I'm from-
Atwater.
Oh, I'm from Flint.
Okay. Too old for this stuff. Old and grumpy. You been staying out of trouble?
Trying.
Which means you're not.
That's right. It's no fun.
Huh?
It's no fun staying out of trouble.
God. You know, the thing I once said, it's not illegal if you don't get caught.
How about you? Did you have a nice holidays and first of the year?
Oh. We had all the kids, the grandkids, in-laws over to the house. The house was doing one of these numbers. You know, it was really disgusting. I ran out of beer, I ran out of scotch. And I'm the only one that drinks.
Oh boy! Oh boy!
So, oh, it was fun.
Good. I know it's always nice to have family around the holidays.
Well, everyone lives close, so that's, you know, that's really not a problem. The furthest away is my one son, he lives in
Yeah.
Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
So, you know, him and his wife came in. So, it was fun.
Wow. Do you have a lot of grandkids?
Well, let's see, 7. and the youngest is 9 months.
Oh, wow. That's a fun age though, 9 months. I was like 6 to 9. Develop personalities and they really start to interact.
Well, she's got a personality.
Aw.
You know, her father is 41 years old, and that's his first.
Oh boy, she's gonna be a spoiled one then.
Spoiled? She,
What's her name?
Delilah.
Yeah, excuse me.
It's okay. Bring it.
How are you? Good morning. Do you know all the commissioners?
I think I've met everybody once or twice.
Two folders today for my meeting.
There's a
That's
lot of
bad sign.
discussion items. We'll start with the discussion items.
Yeah,
Is
open
that good?
agenda, yeah, absolutely. So I have before you the October and November data report.
Mhm.
I only had a few updates, and I'm sure you're gonna have a couple questions, but relevant to changes, it's consistent with last month, but just pointing out, I'm sure you already know the unemployment rate on page 3 at 4% in Portage County. So, that's good for us, and we're doing really well in the workforce division as far as connecting people to open jobs. On page 4,
Well, you know, Kelly, do I have a question?
Sure.
Where it says veteran job placements, it has did not report. What is,
we're not getting information from the veteran services relevant to that, so that's, they're not sharing it with us. That doesn't mean that they're not having it, it's just the
Oh.
data's not coming, so I think Mandy has outreached before, so we probably need to make more of
Do
a
it again.
concerted effort, just so you can have that data here. I don't know if you get it from them separate than us, it's
Mm-mm.
just, oh, you don't.
no.
Well, then I'll ask them to please include it, that we present this in person to you.
Okay.
On page 4 is the impact program, and that's the program that replaced passages. So we've not been any more successful with referrals from the courts since the onset in October. The good thing is we brought that program in-house, so the good thing that we're no longer paying the contract funds. But we're cold calling those obligors and child support, again, saying these are the services we offer. Here's some programs that could benefit you, and so we're hoping that we're getting that connection as well as the judges referring to the program. So I just wanted to bring that to
So
you.
Kelly Jo, who's overseeing impact then?
Judge Gilletto is the judge that's referring from court-ordered participation. And then the impact is the collaborative between our child support division and Mandy, OMJ.
Okay.
So we brought it in-house and then we
Yeah.
bridged between the two divisions. So again, it's fairly new, but definitely we're not seeing as many referrals as we'd like in the first couple months. Page 5, consistent numbers with CCMEP. We have about 244 youth still enrolled, consistently working with our case managers there.
And we received additional funds, didn't we, for the CCMEP? I think we just had that not COG.
We've not seen any additional funds. Was that at the recent meeting last week that they spoke to?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm pretty sure, because I thought it was Ashtabula. Remember, they were shut out because, well, they were capped out because they ran out of funds, but you might want to check on that.
Yeah, I will.
I thought we received additional funds.
Page 6, the numbers don't reflect current because we're about 2 months out because of state data, but in children's services, it says at the end of November, we had 221 kids in custody. It's about 200 now, so we're reuniting kids more. We had an adoption this month, and so our numbers are good. Commissioner Clyde, you asked about will the numbers change reflective of the group home, and yes. So this is November, and we didn't open the group home till December. Right now, we have 5 young people residing in the home, and we have a 6th young lady moving in at the end of February. So then next month, you'll definitely see that number change. Really, for me, I haven't seen a lot of shift in data from the report unless you have specific questions. We've been pretty good. Then the second item that I had was our 2020 goals. And so every year I come before the commissioners at the first of the year. We do agency-wide goals. So there's well over 100 goals that
I was
we.
gonna say, I think you need some more.
Yeah. Well, and if you ever walk in some of the buildings, you see the puzzle pieces. So Kim correlates these goals with puzzle pieces. But we actually, we're shoring up 19 to do a report out on what we've accomplished. But we still continue on with goals. But it's good stuff. Our state and federal goals are on there combined with what we want to do with innovative programs and services, customer service. Just a couple highlights on new agency goals. Agency-wide goals on that first page. So with the new grant writer position that we're going to share, as well as some opportunities that we've seen, we'd like to seek grant opportunities to start to address homelessness initiatives, collaborate with other agencies, and then transportation as well. I'm sure you saw my memo that I wrote to Director Hall, so I think it's a good opportunity for us. Another new goal is our levy in March, number 11. So I did some research, just I'm going to meet with Diane hopefully in the future and to give her some background for a news story. But the current 0.75 and 0.49 has been on the ballot since like 1995. So we've not come before the Portage County voters in many years to do that. And I'm really happy that we don't have to at this point. But maybe at some point, hopefully in the near future, we can combine these because I think it gets a little bit confusing, but it looks like it's been separate for a very long time. So just bringing that to your attention. And then the last two agency-wide goals, with the opening of the group home and us seeing more young people in foster care that have mental health diagnosis and are being prescribed psychotropic medication. The new clinical manager that we're going to be interviewing for next week, we really want to invest a lot of effort in monitoring those psychotropic meds and creating a policy. We have a process right now in place, but I think we need to be more cognizant and more in depth with the mental health of our kids. So that's something I outreach to Lucas County. They have a team actually there that deals with mental health and psychotropic meds of kids and in conjunction with stepping them down and normalcy. And so they shared with me some of their policies. So hope to steal some of that, borrow some of that in developing our own. And then the last thing is we're going to have a meeting next week with Access Care. We do have our kids see medical providers, but there's a state mandate that when kids come in custody within like a 24-hour window, they should be seen by a medical provider. And we have not been compliant with that. So we want to collaborate with Access Point to be able to be that provider for the kids as they come into care, and also the triage medical provider for kids in the group home as well. So that's a new initiative that I can talk to you more about once it's established. Any questions on the goals? I'm not going to go over 100 of them for you, but if you have at any point want to ask me about them, it's labor intensive, right, David? But it's good. It's our guiding.
But you know what? I really like that you do this.
Thank you.
Because it really, keeps it on our radar exactly what all you guys do.
Yeah. Thank you. I
Good.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Are you gonna come back and talk to us about your goal meeting? Like what you said, you're still kind of processing whether you met the goals of
Oh, the
2019.
19? I can, absolutely. So in last
Maybe
year's.
just highlights too, I mean,
Sure.
something like this, if
Yeah.
you have it, I don't wanna create a bunch of work.
We have this draft from, and right now what they're doing is saying met, continued, abandoned, and if they abandon a goal, they have to give a rationale why. So yeah, I can absolutely.
that-
At the very least, I can give you the packet and then highlight some things and then you can have questions.
Yeah, that'd
Okay.
be great.
What else do I have? Strategies. So, with the placement costs continuing to be a significant burden on all child welfare systems in Ohio. Similar, this time last year, I also presented the Board of Commissioners with our strategies relevant to children's services. So this is the 2020 strategies that we want to continue to work on to make sure that we're utilizing our state and federal dollars and tax levy dollars for its purpose. So the first one, I'm just gonna high level overview is this was last year as well. That's our random moment samples. And so that's just ensuring that the staff are logging what they're doing at certain times when the state outreaches to them for that sample. Those correlates to dollars that come into our budget. The disbursement piece is old. It's just basically making sure we're timely when we're asking for reimbursements from the state. We have to data input everything into a system, and that's what triggers the state to reimburse us. Because we're no longer a Protect Ohio County where we get that pilot monies up front every month, it's really important that we're timely in the data input so that our monies come back from the state in a timely manner. What else? Stepping children down, that's just because normalcy is something we want to promote. We don't want children to linger in residential centers longer than they have to, so we're doing a bi-weekly review of those kids to see what progress they're making and if they're prepared or ready to come into a group home or a foster home setting. Couple other things. One of the things was exploring with the commissioners about reducing some things where we're charged a service fee on. And so that's something we could talk about more, but David was able to learn about AT&T FirstNet. Some of the other child welfare systems use them for cell phones for social workers and case managers. And so we just now are deploying those, and that's gonna allow us to reduce some of the costs with that. Do you wanna speak like a minute or two about that?
Yeah, so the big draw about FirstNet is just that after the wake of 9/11 and everything, we were trying to use the cell network all at the same time. First responders couldn't get through to get the emergency services to the places they needed to be. So AT&T partnered with I think the FCC to basically get a band of the wireless spectrum to have like a first priority network. Social workers and caseworkers fall into that first responder status. The good news for us is it's a large cost reduction. We're talking like $15 to $20 a month per device. So when we spread that among 90 social workers and case managers, we're saving a significant amount of money. And on the plus side, the staff get new equipment, which always nice to have. More high-tech phones. So, but the big thing for us is it's just going to be a huge,
Are you guys under contract at all with the current provider? Is there?
No, we work through Joanne with the county on those phones, and Joanne's aware of this, so I don't think that we didn't have to break a contract or anything to come out of that.
No, and it's actually, since we were with AT&T before, we're functionally working with the same reps that we had with AT&T because AT&T and FirstNet are connected. So so it works out really well for us.
So that's just an example of ways that we can continue to look at efficiencies, and it helps our budget at the same time. A couple other things on the strategies, again, I won't go over all of them, is we're really going to, or the Child Welfare League Committee is really vested in helping us to pass the March levy, the 0.49 mil levy. So that's a strategy for us. Without the Portage County citizens and those levy dollars, our system would be in utmost crisis. So we thank them, and we're eager to allow us to communicate what we've done with those funds and how we've helped kids. And then we're going to invite Senator Eklund and Representative Clyte back into the Portage County just to talk about where we've been, but also to hope that as we embark on the new budget cycle with the state, that we can get some eyes and ears that can help advocate for child welfare funding. While that $20 million was great for counties, we need a long-term investment. We're still 50th in the nation with child welfare funding, and so, and I think the governor has his eyes on these initiatives too, but I think having our voice in this and allowing our local our reps to see what boots on the grounds look like and what our struggles look like and what our accomplishments look like, I think will be helpful. So I'll invite all of you again as I did, and hopefully they'll accept our invitation. I'd also like to invite them to come to the group home. Senator Eklund couldn't come when we had the open house, but he knew about it. So just wanted you to be aware of that we continue to advocate for state funding because we need that in our system, especially child welfare.
Is that 2 invitations, or you'll have one? You'll combine that?
What do you recommend? Separate?
I recommend
one together.
Yeah.
That'll be great.
Yeah.
So then that's what I'll do.
Okay.
Okay.
I mean, as far as
The rep.
combining, they both can come at the same time, but also not a time to come in and talk and a time to come in and tour. I would do it.
One time. Yeah, perfect.
And I'd like to come too, as you said you were going to invite us, since I also was not able to make it to the open house.
Good. Some communities and some reps have accepted invitations to do ride-alongs too and home calls. We had a lot of, Representative Householder was a huge advocate. And I think he experienced a ride-along in Coshocton County. And it was really profound, the experience he had, just understanding the dynamics of what families in child welfare are dealing with and the kids. So I'll extend that same invitation to them if time allows. I don't know if we can do it all in one day, but the last time I did, and he couldn't do it at that time, Senator Eklund, but was open to it, so I'll extend it and see what happens.
I think that's a great idea.
And that's just really it. Continue to work with the Child Welfare PCSAO Association for legislative changes. Right now, they're looking at foster care reform under the governor. And so we want to make sure as systems that we have our voice in that as they look to reform the foster care system, that the people that are in the trenches have voice in that. So we've been, we wrote a shared letter at our trustees meeting last week that we're going to send to the governor on behalf of all the 88 directors in child welfare, just stating what our experiences are and what our needs, in addition to what they're hearing out in the community forum. So I'll keep you posted on that. Okay. Contract termination. We have had, and it was before I came to Portage County, which I've been here about 5 years, a multi-systematic therapy program contract with Family and Community Services. It's a best practice model. The model's exceptional. With that model comes a lot of administrative oversight. In addition to having family and community administrative oversight for this clinical program, we also have administrative oversight that we pay for through Case Western Reserve. Our numbers have been very low, and the outcomes that we would like to see aren't as profound as what we're seeing relevant to working in the home and preventing kids from coming into care. I talked to Mark Fruzone before the holidays about terminating this contract. It's a high dollar contract. It's not about money. It's really about effectiveness of services and matching it to the money that we're paying, and we don't think that the two match right now. Used to be over $300,000 when I came. We reduced it to $196,000. And now at this point, we'd like to terminate it effective June 30th and look at a different model, a more cost-effective model where our social workers and supervisors can help to build the outcomes in it. It doesn't have to be a best practices model to meet the needs of the family. So I would like your support in moving forward with the termination of that. And then we do have a meeting with family and community to talk about what the future could look like, but in a more cost-efficient way. So just
Will
wanted
there
to
be a gap in that service, or do you think by June
Yeah,
you
absolutely.
can have something in
And we do
place?
have an intensive case management program contract, with Family and Community Services now. We can embellish that. So there's still services in the home that we utilize. It's just we'll expand on that and have it look different, but I'll report out to you what it's gonna look like. You'll have to approve it anyway,
Right,
so.
that sounds good.
Okay. Then Children's Services, and I attached the contract just so if you had any questions. Then the Children's Services levy, again, there's a memo.
So issue 11.
Yes,
right?
issue 11, March ballot. We have our signs ready. We don't do this on company time. It's the Child Welfare Levy Committee. And so we just hope again that Diane and I can meet so we can talk to the voters about how important this is and to dispel any confusion of why, again, we have a levy 3 months after this has been how it's been for many years. So just wanting to make you aware of it, and we're gonna hit it hot and heavy and hope to pass it. We were the second highest county that passed the levy in the state of Ohio in the November election. So hopefully maybe we could be the highest county in the March, so.
Highest in the amount of people that
Percentage
turned out,
that supported it, yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, so that says a lot for Portage County citizens that recognize the needs of kids.
Yeah, I saw your signs this morning at the group home.
Number 11,
Yes.
yeah, they had that. Good. Then that takes me to all levy and all child welfare, a resolution. I have contacted the auditor. We did this last year. We asked for an advance on our taxes last year. So I'm asking again for you to pass the resolution to advance our 2019 taxes for the child welfare levy. We would then be able to receive those dollars starting the first week of February. So if you would consider that, that really helps for us to get back where we need to be at the first of the year.
Did we miss out on the bake sale?
Did I
Bake
skip it?
sale and Portage Innovative Program Challenges in Transportation?
It's right after the resolution.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's right after the resolution.
Okay.
So we'll move the resolution requesting the county auditor to advance taxes from the proceeds of the 2019 tax collection year pursuant to section 321.34 of the Ohio Revised Code to Portage County Job and Family Services.
I'll second.
Roll call, Amy?
Kathleen?
Yes.
Sabrina?
Yes.
Vicky?
Yes.
They might have shifted my agenda items around.
Oh,
too.
yeah, they did. That's
They did,
okay.
So I printed mine and didn't look with it, I'm sorry, I
It's okay.
apologize. Bake sale, that same committee that's supporting the levy, would like to have a bake sale. So I'm not speaking on behalf of JFS, but the levy committee asked me to seek permission. We're not allowed to promote the levy within 100 feet of the Board of Elections, so I'd like to see if we could have it on the 3rd floor of the administrative building. The social workers, donate all their own time and stuff to do it on their breaks and lunches, but then whatever proceeds they get, they provide it to the levy committee. So if I could have your permission, they're asking for it to be on Thursday, February 13th, just in time for Valentine's Day. Yeah, so some sweets for Valentine's Day.
That sounds good.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Then the last thing, I had an open agenda I sent to you. I had Anita print a copy for you of the email that I sent to Director Kim Hull, who's the new director of JFS. In there, I included the state representative for workforce, Ryan Thompson. I'm not gonna read through it, but really what I tried to impress upon her about was the need to have separate flexible funding for transportation for communities. In a community like Portage County, where we're really innovative and we are removing social stigmas, and we've married the business sector with government to get people into the workforce, that's great. But we know public transit doesn't go everywhere it needs to by no fault of PARDA, and we know funds are limited. And in this memo, I shared with you that we've used our incentive dollars that we could use anywhere in the agency. We chose to use them for transportation to get people to work, but unfortunately, those are incentives, and that pot of money dwindles away. So she asked for my input, and so as they're building their strategic plan and they're preparing for the next budget, I'm hoping that they earmark dollars. So if you have an opportunity or ask, it would be great for you to understand that plight and encourage and advocate for those transportation dollars too. One of the other persons on the email is our president of the JFS Association, Joel Potts. So I included him too. He responded and said, very nicely, oh, you didn't probably see, oh yeah, it's in the second section.
Yeah,
of who
I was
was
gonna say
included.
it's on the second.
And also the state superintendent of schools was here at Maplewood, and I talked about that piece that he came in, and we talked about the young people in Portage County and looking at a pathway to manufacturing, and then the state superintendent being there wants to kind of see how we can build and support Portage County. So I will let you know when he's coming back to Portage County to continue conversations, but I think it's a really good opportunity for them to support these initiatives. And our biggest employer or employment sector is manufacturing, so they recognize that, and so it was a really good meeting. Anyways, transportation funds, and we're not gonna wait for the state to give us funds, we're gonna write grants to see if we can do it on our own, but this is a platform we wanna take on in 2020. Okay?
Sounds good, and I would highlight that too for John and Randy.
Okay, when they come in,
Yeah.
absolutely,
Yeah.
good idea. And I think that's all of my open agenda items. I had one executive session item that I made Amy aware of, but then there was one more that I need to add, and it's regarding G1 for benefits, salary and benefits. And David would be coming in with me. Janet Kovic is supposed to come.
She's here.
Oh, she's here.
She's
Hi,
here.
Janet, you're here. So that's that. Thank you.
Thank you.
So we need 2 executive sessions.
Yes.
Okay.
So what's the first one called, Joe, for?
Did I give it to you or need to read that?
Employment.
Compensation too.
Yeah.
Employment compensation.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to go into executive session for G1 to consider the employment and compensation of a public employee.
Separate, or there are one? One's employment and one's compensation?
There's 2.
Okay, so
Just
I'll
employment.
revise it then, just to go and consider the employment for a public employee.
Yes.
Okay.
Second. Roll call, Amy?
Sabrina?
Yes.
Kathleen?
Yes.
Vicky?
Yes.